Welcome to the Financial Freedom Secrets Show. This is your host, Jackson Milan, the Wealth Mentor, helping business owners create financial freedom faster by mastering the language of money. Want to see how well you're tracking towards financial freedom? Complete our 40-point financial performance scorecard at wealthhealthcheck.com.au. That's wealthhealthcheck.com.au. The average score for most business owners is 18 out of 40. So complete the scorecard now and see how well you're tracking towards financial freedom.
G'day guys, Jackson Milan, the Wealth Mentor, and we're here for another episode of Financial Freedom Secrets. It's our first cab off the rank for the year of 2023, and I have a great friend and an amazing individual, Matt Alderton from BX, joining us here. Matt, how you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic. It's great to be in a brand new year, and I'm pumped that I'm on your first podcast of the year as well. Fantastic.
It's an absolute pleasure, and you're looking refreshed, you're looking energized, and we're ready to get stuck into it. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's because technically I'm still on holidays. So
that's it. You're bending the work rules in order to make allowances for little old me. So I do really appreciate that, mate. So tell us a little about you and BX. What's the origin story?
Wow. Well, I've been in business now for 18 years. This will be my 19th year in business. So I know what you're thinking if you're watching the video. It's the soft Zoom filter that you're looking at that makes me look like I'm 21, maybe 22. But yeah, no, I've been in business. This will be my 19th year in business. Started back in retail and hospitality with video shops, with cafes and restaurants as well, and Subway restaurants. So back very much retail and hospitality based. I loved it. I loved working with people. I loved service, and really it bedded down just the value of giving great service to your clients. And so I loved that. But I did that for a number of years, for about 15 years, till I realized that, hey, I didn't want to be in retail and hospitality, into my 40s. So what I did is I started selling off my shops, which was a great thing because I'd sold my last shop at the beginning. February 2019, I sold my last retail shop as a video store.
Good timing.
It is good timing before COVID, I tell you what. But I was just seeing the other day that apparently cassette tapes and coming back in. We've been buying LPs for the kids. I think they're amazing. Which is so funny. Now cassette tapes are coming back in, and you've got artists launching their new singles on cassette tape. I'm like, man, if videos come back in, I shouldn't have sold my shops. No, just kidding. But I'm glad I did just before COVID. And since 2015, I've done a bunch of other stuff, but really what I've been working on over the last 7-8 years is a business called BX, which is an events and education company for small business. It helps businesses level up, scale up, grow, and create a great business for a great life. And we predominantly do that through running events around networking. In fact, we were all education-based at first, running events for education. Now we're networking-based, running events for networking, and we've interwoven the education through it. So you get more than you bargain for when you join BX. You think you're getting a networking experience, but you're getting the education platform that comes with it as well, because we're connected with some phenomenal people across the globe, including yourself, Jackson, who provide great quality education for our members. So I got into that 7-8 years ago, and sold my last retail shop in 2019. 100% focused on that business, and achieved some pretty great milestones over the last few years, launching in about 7 countries in the last couple of years, and everyone's battled through the COVID years, and took our events 100% online and back face to face, and loving it over the last 2022, 2023 as well. So having heaps of fun doing what I love, which is working with business owners globally now.
Mate, you're an inspiration. Like, what you've done with BX is amazing, and the amount of growth and just the overall culture of your community is phenomenal. But just so we can kind of illustrate on this, because I think there's a lot of interpretations and sometimes misinterpretations of what networking is. So straight from the horse's mouth, what is your definition of networking, Matt?
Well, and I'll talk to that as well. But I used to have this funny thing where I used to say I'd do events and education, and I wouldn't talk about the networking side of it because there was such a stigma around networking. It's okay. People think networking is daggy, old school stuff. Now, it may be old school because it's not really an electronic form, digital form, which is what people think is the new age kind of stuff. But one of the most valuable things we can ever do in our business is having human, face-to-face, real connections with people, not digital connections with people. And that's where networking comes into it. And so we really turned it on its head. And that's why we call it BX, Business Networking Reimagined, because we looked at all the old styles of doing networking, and hell, I did a heap of them, and they all worked for me, and I made them work for me, and I tapped into and learned all the ways that different styles of networking worked. But really, when we started doing BX, we went, you know what, that is the old school way of doing it, which is, I think, the daggy side. But really, networking is about building relationships. It's about one-to-one, face-to-face contact with people to create opportunities for each other. And it really is a servant nature style of marketing. You know, you're not thinking about what can I get. You think about how can I help other people. And the more you help other people, the more you serve other people, the more that it comes back. The whole pay it forward mentality around networking.
Mate, I really agree with that. It's something that really resonates with me. I think there's really two types of business owners. There's marketers and there's networkers. And I know I really struggle with a lot of the kind of traditional marketing methodologies because what we do in terms of what we do, it's very esoteric. It's a very big subject, and it's so hard to capture someone's attention for long enough to be able to even communicate what we do, how we do it. Whereas when we can work on networking and building those relationships, we can get people to know us, like us, trust us, then it makes it so much easier for us to get really great quality clients. And I'm sure that's a common experience among your member base, right?
Totally. And it's really interesting because networking is a marketing activity for your business. And most people think sales and marketing are one and the same, but they're actually not. Marketing is about attracting people who potentially are interested in buying, but really attracting them into your sales funnel, your sales and marketing funnel. So at the top end, the big end, that's where you're marketing and bringing people into your marketing funnel. At the bottom end, the pointy end, that's where the selling begins. And really, if you do a really good job through the funnel, you don't have to sell to anybody. They're ready to buy, and it's really great. But networking is not about selling. And many people who will say, oh, networking doesn't work, it's because they've gone in with the wrong approach. They've gone in with a sales approach and they start selling to people, start flicking business cards at people. Do you want to buy my thing? No, moving on to the next person. Want to buy my thing? No. And they're like, why does everybody not want to buy from me? Why isn't anyone buying from me? Hey, because you're selling to everybody and it repels people. So if you take the approach, you know, how can I help people? How can I serve people? How can I find them clients? How can I create great partnerships and collaborate with other people? You'll find that the opportunities just explode off the back of that. And that's the difference between BX and most networking. We don't sell to each other. We connect each other with great opportunities for referral partners.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've had a really stark contrast in my own experience through networking. Some of them have been fantastic. Some of them have been very culty. It always comes down to that unspoken rule of business needs to be the number one priority. And I think that when we're in particularly service businesses, right, and it sounds like where you've come from, Matt, you've had this high priority on customer service, creating this great experience for people. And I was always taught that if you do a good job, and you deliver a great experience for people, then you will inevitably make money. Like money will come. It's a byproduct of doing all of those things the right way. Whereas when people look at it from that one-dimensional perspective, I'm just here to make money, I'm just here to get leads, I'm just here to get business, it really makes it icky. Like it's just this weird fence in the air, and it's this stark contrast. Mate, in your experience, and I'm sure you've had a lot of look into this, why do you feel people have that mentality? Where does that come from?
Well, it comes from desperation, to be honest. I think that in a lot of situations, people are on the edge. I know the failure rate of small business is phenomenally high. So 1 in 2 will fall over in the first 12 months, 80% in 5 years, and 96% will fail within 10 years. They won't make it to 10 years. So only 4% of businesses are actually successful beyond the 10-year mark. It tells you that unless you do something different, you're not going to get a great result. You've got to be different to the 96%. You've got to be doing what the 4% are doing. And I think that most people come into marketing opportunities and especially networking thinking, okay, well, I've spent, maybe I've paid for membership or paid for breakfast or I've, paid to come along to one event. And I know that this is a networking event. So I've got to get my ROI from this event. And therefore they come in going, well, I need to make X number of dollars to make this event worthwhile for me. And they're looking at this as a way to get a new client to justify their time for today. And that's not the way that it's like the best analogy I can use for people is like SEO and AdWords. So if you're doing SEO, you don't expect to be number one on Google tomorrow. Yeah, it's a long-term game. It might take you 3 months, 6 months, 12 months to start seeing yourself in the top 5, the top 3, the top 1 in your certain keywords, right? That's the long-term approach. That's like networking. But most people want to get the fast sales. The fast sales are like your Google AdWords. You'll be number one above the rankings straight away if you pay for your Google AdWords. And it still could be engaging and stuff like that. But networking is like SEO, not like AdWords. You've got to go down a different way and be prepared to pay a longer game. Now, in saying that, I've known people that walk away with new clients out of one event, and that happens, but it happens when you don't sell as opposed to when you do. You walk in thinking, how can I help everybody? How can I serve people? How can I connect people with opportunities? If I just look to give, then people will naturally look at me and find out more about me and want to engage with me and have conversations with me about what I do. And that happens organically because they're potentially interested in what I'm doing and what I'm selling. And that can potentially turn into sales. That can happen today, or it could take 6 months or 12 months. And it does very much depend on the style of business. But I think that's really when it comes down to it. People go in with I need to make a sale. People, you can smell the stink of desperation. Really, yeah, you need to make sure that you're thinking, how can I help other people? Not, I'm here to make a sale today.
And I think the interesting part of this, mate, is the law of reciprocation. The amount of times where I've flicked a lead to somebody or made a connection for somebody that I thought would be in their best interest. And then months, in some cases years later, the opportunity is reciprocated and it comes back in multiples, so magnitudes higher than what you've given. But you do need to be prepared to play the long game, which for some people is challenging because they need to put food on the table too, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about getting started. You're going to attend your first networking event. How do you do it the right way to set yourself up for long-term success, Matt?
So I guess there's a couple of things and I know that people often have some anxiety about turning up to a networking event as well. So there's a few things that I give you as a suggestion. And so the first thing is find out what style of event it is. And the best way to do that is to just jump onto Facebook and look at a previous event that this organisation has run. You'll see how people are dressed, what the tone of the meeting is. You could potentially see people that are there as well. Lots of local networking. There's lots of crossover with people. So that's a great way to sort of feel out the tone of the meeting. Often your rego emails has things like dress codes and what to bring and things like that in as well. And we certainly do that. Part of our process as well is that we get one of our team members to call everybody before their first meeting, so that if you've never been to one of our events before, you get a phone call. They'll talk you through what to expect. They'll even talk about what sort of connections they can help make for you on the day as well, so that you know who to expect. Because the worst thing is turning up to an event where you know no one. At least at one of our events, you'll know at least one person. That's the person that's called you, and they'll be there waiting for you when you turn up as well. So that helps relieve some of their anxiety. But I guess it depends on the style of event. I'll talk to our events, but this kind of translates across most events. You're going to have to do generally some kind of pitch at most networking about your business. Now, sometimes the Chamber of Commerce events might be much more just open freestyle events, and they're probably less structured, the Chamber of Commerce style of one. BX is structured, but it's quite relaxed as well. So there's no pressure about anything, but we do have a format and a structure to help gain some traction and momentum off the back of attending. And then you have other events like BNI, which are very highly structured events. And people often laugh about when I talk about BNI, they go, oh, you talk about your competitor in a lot of stuff that you do. I'm like, well, I don't see them as a competitor. I see networking as a collaborative thing. I did BNI for years and did exceptionally well out of it. In fact, you'll recognize some of the stuff that we do at BX is stuff that's come out off the back of my experience with BNI and all the other networking I've done. I took the good stuff out of everything. That's what's embedded in BX. But, that's a very structured style of event as well. So super structured. But usually you'll get an opportunity at some style of networking to do a pitch. Be prepared with what you're going to talk about. So have some sort of idea. And the best, you'll be relaxed or more relaxed if you've got and had some sort of preparation for your pitch. And my best recommendation for what to pitch about is, who you are. Tell people who you are, your name and your business name, what you do. Like if you're an accountant, my name's Matt Alderton. I'm from, ABC Accounting, and I'm an accountant and bookkeeper. That's an example. I'm not an accountant bookkeeper. And then tell people why you do what you do. You know a guy called Simon Sinek. He famously said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. You want to emotionally connect people with what you do through telling them about the why. So, why did you get into business? What excites you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What, gives you goosebumps and tingles when you talk about it. That's the why. So talk about why you do what you do, and then talk about who you're looking to connect with. Now, my suggestion with the who is not an end client, because that's selling to the people in the room. You're asking for people in the room to connect you with other businesses who have the same client base that you do. So if you are an accountant, if using this example here, you deal with a lot of business owners, typically to do their accounts and maybe their bookkeeping. So you got to think about what's another business that serves other businesses just like yours. And a good example might be, for example, you, Jackson, you'll be dealing with business owners who are looking to, build financial wealth. Well, accountants are helping them build their business at the same time. There's not a competing factor there. It's a great connection for each other to help refer their own client bases back to each other. So you could be referring to the accountant will be referring back to you, and you've probably got some great accountants that refer to you right now, and vice versa. So if you asked at a meeting for someone to connect you with an accountant, you would get connections at a meeting to people who know accountants, not because you're going to sell to them, but because you've got clients that would potentially be able to use the accountant services. And so that's, if you frame up, a good sort of 30 to 40 second presentation on who you are, what you do, why you do what you do, and who you're looking to connect with, then you'll have an awesome, introduction for yourself to people in the room. And because it's not salesy, people will be inclined to want to help you and connect you with those kinds of people. And that's what I suggest. Be prepared with that. So know the tone of the dress, the tone of the meeting. You'll hopefully know some people when you get there. Have your pitch ready. Take some business cards with you. It's funny, Jackson, people often say to me these days, I don't do business cards anymore because, it's so old school. I have this digital card. I'm like, okay, I get why you do that. But if you want to stay top of mind with people, you want your physical card sitting on their desk in front of them. So when they get back to their office, they're thinking of you. The amount of cards I get from people, and it triggers me to take certain actions. Whereas when you do a digital scan or a QR code, somebody's card or something like that,
it's forgotten. They're never going to think about that again.
No, they don't. So I highly recommend having printed business cards, professional, good quality cards that represent your brand, so people can connect with you and think of you and reach out to you. And I often suggested a photo one that's good. If you do a lot of networking, a photo on your business card's great, because people, when they meet people, they can forget a name, but they won't forget a face. You'll hear people say, I never forget a face. Often I forget a name. So a photo on your business card actually goes a really long way if you're doing networking. So we give all our team cards with their photos because we want people to remember them, their face, most importantly. So there's some hot tips that I would recommend.
I love it. This is super valuable, mate. And the amount of small business owners, and even in our client base and other business owners that we've met who really haven't nailed their elevator pitch, it blows my mind. And you always see those types of individuals. And this is not to bag on them. I think everyone can improve this. And I think it's so important because people sleep on this all of the time, that they ask what they do and they just give a generic thing like, I'm an accountant or I'm a bookkeeper. Cool. Or they waffle on about all of this unnecessary information about what they do. And you can sometimes get to the end of it and go, so wait a minute, what do you actually do? And if you can refine this, and I personally believe, and I've done this for years, write it down, practice it, use it at every possible opportunity. And the great thing about a forum like BX is that you get an opportunity every single meeting to refine it. So use that time to improve it, tweak it, optimize it, see how it's received, and just make that a constant work in progress. And I think the second part to that, mate, and with a lot of lessons that I learned from you and also from Dale, is like physical stuff is making a big comeback. This is why business networking is so valuable today, particularly in the economic environment that we're in, where online is so saturated, it's so impersonal now, that when we can build these relationships face-to-face, belly-to-belly, and support it with really great physical collateral, whether it be your physical business cards, physical collateral. If you've got a book, take that along. Use this to be memorable. You can really carve out your space and use networking to skyrocket your business, because it's certainly what we've done. It's a number one source of business growth.
Well, I believe that human touch is the collateral for the next generation. Like this, we've lost, especially the last couple of years. And I was saying this before COVID, and COVID really just demonstrated how critical human touch has become. We became more digital through COVID. We became reliant on Zoom, and it's quite a got a great place. And, there's amazing marketing opportunities you can do through your digital. But human touch is the new collateral, and people need to understand that if you're going to be successful in any area of your life, whether it's business or personal, whatever, it has to be through human touch. And we've lost that over the last couple of years, and people have craved it, but have not realized, I don't think, how important it is to actually having a successful business, as well as they've craved it from a personal perspective. From a business perspective, it's just as crucial to have that human connection with people as well. There is, I always talk about this movie. It's called Crash.
Yes, and phenomenal movie.
Oh my
it's one of my favorites, mate.
It is my number one film of all time. It was released about probably 10 or 15 years ago, 2008, I think it actually was. It has a cracker of a cast, but it actually didn't make mainstream cinema in Australia. Because I mentioned before, I had video shops, so I was always in touch with what was going on with film. But it never made the cinemas in Australia. I probably did a couple of indie cinemas and things like that. No one had heard of this film. Even in the US, it was quite low key, and it had like a cracker cast: Matt Dillon, Brendan Fraser, Sandra Bullock, Don Chadley. Oh, just this cracker cast. And all of a sudden, it won the Oscar for Best Film. And I'm like, get out. Like, it was such a phenomenal film, but no one had ever heard of it every time I mentioned it. And it won Best Oscar. And it's a cracker. If you haven't watched it, watch it. But it just demonstrates the power of human touch. And I think that it underpins our society at the moment as well.
I agree with that, mate. And there's so many synergies here between networking. There's so many businesses that I know that are the world's best kept secret because they are phenomenal at what they do. They're exceptional at their craft, but because they are lackluster marketers, that they don't have a great business, they don't have a thriving business. Maybe they don't have the kind of client lead flow that they would like to have to be able to get to their goals. And on the flip side, there's a lot of great marketers who are all talk and not a lot of action, right? So I think this is where networking presents a tremendous opportunity where you don't need to be a shark. You don't need to be a sleazy salesperson. You can just be you and do what you do exceptionally. And I know this aligns very closely with the BX values and grow your business at the same time. So I think it's a tremendous opportunity and people shouldn't sleep on it, even though you might have got a little bit jaded from being through lockdowns and maybe you've been on Zoom for too long. It's time to get back out there. We've spoken a little bit about the different formats, Matt, and I know that one of your interesting value, because to give you some context, my previous experience was always to be in networking groups, but they only allowed one person of each industry or business to be present because they didn't want them to compete. And I believe that your model is different.
Our model to networking?
Yes.
Yeah. So, we talked about the non-selling element to BX and that we're about, building connection. Partner model is such a crucial model for BX. What we're about for BX members is connect to other people and helping members look beyond the room. Most networking is about looking at about looking at the people in the room, about the connections in the actual room. Whereas we're so focused at BX on helping people look beyond the room. And so we do that through helping people build referral partnerships. And for a couple of reasons. One, most networking is connected to a membership. So what happens is people, they go along to a network. It's like Google AdWords, right? You pay for what you get. As long as you're paying, you'll get a return on that investment. Where at BX, I believe that it's more like SEO. If you pay for a membership and you build your business, it shouldn't be for today only. It should be for ongoing. So whatever work you do to build relationships, connections, and opportunities now should pay in the long term as well. As an educator in business, I don't want people to be tied to me to get a return. I want people to learn from us about the best model and build their connections and opportunities through us to grow and scale their business. And then when they leave us, they don't leave the relationships on the table. They don't leave the education and everything they've got from us with their membership. They get that goes with them. And so by building relationships outside the room, you're actually building your business for now and the future. And we do that through really connecting through those referral partnerships. And that's the big distinguishing factor between BX and most networking, is that most networking is tied to the direct referral or the direct client, whereas we're looking the next level up. Think of it like a pyramid, like a triangle. if you look at it as an upside down triangle, the bottom of the triangle is all the end clients you're potentially going to get from that networking room. There'll be some, they'll find you. If you don't sell to them, they'll find you. The next middle part of the triangle, a little bit bigger, they're going to be direct referrals. People in the room with you, they're going to go, hey, you sound like a great financial advisor. I'm going to connect you with a friend of mine who's, looking to do a few things and has been talking to me about that. And, they've talked to me about it. I know that you're great, so I'm going to connect you too. Direct referrals, they'll happen as well, but they're still the middle. There's not heaps of them. The massive, big, wide part of the triangle, that third, which is exponentially greater than a third, is the referral partner opportunity. Because if I connect you with a dozen referral partners through the networking room over the next, 12 months, 2 years, those referral partners are yours for life. As long as you're nurturing those referral partners, they are going to be churning out leads and opportunities and new clients to you all the time. And the best way I can explain this is, and I talked about it with an accountant and, financial advisor and friend coach. If I connect those two people together and they work well together, they're connecting to each other on a regular basis, having conversations on a regular basis. They're top of mind with each other, and they're going to constantly connect new people. Now, it might only be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 great clients a year, but generally on average, that turns out to be about $20,000 on average per year per referral partner. Now, that's across our network. When we do case studies and we survey members and we ask them the results they've got, it averages about 15 to 20K. And it actually models a very similar model to Michael Griffiths, who's the referral marketing coach and guru. He has a similar framework that he teaches his clients. In fact, we've modeled a lot of our framework around the coaching and training that Michael does with our clients. And he has very similar numbers. He says about 15 to 20K per referral partner as well. So if you nurture one referral partner, you're going to generate about 15 to 20K worth of new business per year from that referral partner, whether you're in the network or not, as long as you're nurturing that relationship. Now, you don't want just one, you want 5 to 10 great referral partners. And you build those up over 12 months, 2 years. You've got 5 to 10 great referral partners generating 6 figures worth of new business from your networking activities. Now, most people are going, okay, that'll suit me personally, but now I'm going to actually bring in a sales rep, a BDM who's going to come in and help me build the business as well, because now I can afford to bring some people in, and they start getting them to do some networking as well. And they're looking at those sources. Now, I always say marketing's like having a chair with 4 legs. Networking is one of those legs. You've got to have your other legs churning in leads at the same time and creating opportunities at the same time, so that your sales reps are not the only people getting new business. But certainly that's a strong foundation to your marketing plan, is your referral marketing plan for your business. And that's what you build through networking, not looking for the one-off opportunities here and there that you're going to get by being in a room, but the great opportunities for collaborative partners that will serve you for a lifetime.
Mate, you hit the nail on the head. It's so valuable. Our aim is to actually get to 100 strategic partners. We very much big believers in the kind of the Dream 100 philosophy of Chet Holmes. It's been game changing. It's so much easier to grow your business based on high quality relationships that are reciprocal, because they stand the test of time. There's no recession or inflation or interest rate increase or ban to Facebook ads or whatever that is going to prevent you from nurturing those relationships and growing your business as a result. And having the ability to know that you're helping other people grow their business, it's a complete triple win. Because let's face it, we don't need to make Mark Zuckerberg any richer, right?
Yeah, that's true. He's doing all right.
So let's talk about the big side, the high end of things, mate. I've learnt this myself, but I feel that there is some stigma around this, that networking is only for small businesses, micro businesses, or people just getting started. True or false?
False. and I know you're all thinking, of course he's going to say that, but it is false. Like, we've looked at our membership base statistically and overlaid that across the business sector of Australia. 100 million plus. Looking at the different levels of business from micro through to big size firms, and BX actually has a spread exactly reflective of the Australian membership, and that's replicated overseas as well, which means that we're able to serve all elements and all areas of the economy proportionate to the number of businesses in those areas as well. So we've got, a health fund as an example doing over $100 million worth of revenue, who's got multiple BDMs as part of our network. We've got franchisors, franchisees, we've got micro businesses, small businesses, everywhere from, doing probably 30, 40, 50K a year to doing, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 100 million plus. So why not works is because we know it works for all those different areas of business. But what I recommend for people is, I talked about before the statistics of small business and failure rate of small business.
Yes.
And let's be real here. Most businesses in Australia and globally are small businesses. Like 90%, 95%, I think actually is the number below the $10 million mark. And it's like 89% below like the $2 million mark. So it's a very small number between, I think, 2 and 10 million, very, very small number of businesses. Most sit below the $2 million mark. So when you look at that, people go, it's not for bigger businesses. It's for everybody. But the difference is, if you're running a $10 million business, you don't have time necessarily to go to lots of networking. Totally cool. I would get that. I wouldn't recommend the CEO and potentially founder of a $10 million business is turning up to a fortnightly networking event.
Sure.
That's probably not the best use of your time, because you're not going to also be nurturing the referral partnerships as part of that. But you, at a $10 million level, would have BDMs helping you grow your business. Those BDMs should be doing networking as a key part of your marketing approach to growing your business. And you would have multiple BDMs at that point who would be doing different types of networking. And networking is not an exclusive activity. You don't have to do one only. You can do multiple types. And I normally suggest, BX members. We have many BX members doing, B&I and BX. We have many BX members who are parts of their chamber of commerce and all sorts of stuff as well. So don't think that networking is an exclusive activity. And if any networking organization tells you you can only be part of this network, they're actually robbing you of the opportunity of growing your network. And they're robbing their own community of the opportunities you would bring to that room if you were doing more networking. So it doesn't serve the network to be exclusive to one type of network, yeah? So I would always suggest being part of something that creates that inclusive opportunity to network across multiple different streams of networking. But definitely, whatever level of business you're in will dictate the amount of time that you spend in that room, the amount of different types of networking, and the maybe the engagement you have from a BDM perspective as well. But when I was first growing BX, when I launched it in 2015, I was doing every type of networking. I was referred to as like a networking whore, networking junkie. Like I would often be referred to that. I was everywhere. But hell, that was working for me. I was probably spending 80% of my marketing activities doing networking because it's so low cost, so high return, and you just become so well known across your local and potentially bigger areas, depending on where you're networking by doing that. So, there is huge opportunity and it's great ROI to be engaging in that kind of activity.
That's great advice, mate, which is awesome. So if anybody's watching this, maybe they are doing networking now, maybe they slept on it a little bit and are keen to give it a crack. If you had to summarize all of your collective genius into your 3 top tips, Matt, for people to make the most of networking in 2023, what would they be?
Well, I would definitely say that my number one tip for networking would be to ensure that you don't sell. And I know that, so typically I would always frame something as the positive element. But if I said to people, go in there and build relationships and foster collaboration, people still sell. So I'm going there to talk about the negative, and I say, don't sell to people. If you find yourself selling, you're going to lose the opportunities. People just go, oh, back off. It kind of feels sleazy. So your purpose in networking, that's why I talk about the negative there to give you the counter argument. Go in there with the purpose of helping other people, paying it forward. How can I help and serve the people in this room today? They will love you for it. They'll refer people to you for it. They'll help you build referral partners off the back of it. So go in there with a servant attitude. The other hot tip I'd give you is be prepared. If you're going to walk into a networking room, know what you're walking into, know what's expected of you when you walk into it, And as Jackson said before, write down your pitch, write it down, practice it a few times. The more you practice it, the more confident you'll be. And, I even suggest to people when they walk into a networking room for the first time, or they're going to do their presentation for the first time, to have it on a card in front of them. Even if it's the who, the what, the why, and the who you're looking to connect with, just having those points there as framework. But you'll find that you're much more professional. And I would view that as being prepared as opposed to winging it. When I'm listening to you, if I see you referencing a card, I'm like, awesome, this person's prepared, like they've thought about this. Whereas if you're winging it, you're kind of like wishy-washy. I'm like, oh man, am I going to refer to you? Maybe not. I might have to get to know you a little bit better before I start referring people to you. But if you're prepared and organized and professional, then I'm going to be more inclined to want to do business with you and going to want to refer to you. And the third tip that I would give is just relax, have fun. It is a people environment, and people love to help other people, and people want to help people succeed. So if you go in there and, you're a nice person, you're engaging, you're asking great questions, you're a positive person, people will naturally just gel with you. They'll like you. They'll want to help you. And so, the whole like, no, trust, people want to be able to support other people and help other people. Let them do that by being a nice person, being kind, being nice, being someone that other people want to be around. That's going to help serve you beyond anything else. That's my top 3 tips, I guess.
I think that's great advice, mate. I think that goes for introverts like myself as well. Like, sometimes going to these new environments with new people can be really intimidating. And you got to get yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. Like, people are typically there to do the right thing, and they're there to make you comfortable and to help you grow your business. So overcome those self-limiting beliefs, go and invest the time, and you will get out what you put in. But I highly attest for it. So if we maybe convince some people to give some business networking a crack, or maybe try a new age experience like BX, how could they potentially come and give it a crack, mate?
Well, so first of all, you can jump on our website and have a look, and it'll give you, there's some frequently asked questions. It's all information about networking. There's some tools and resources on there as well. So you can jump onto bxnetworking.com, find out all about that. But we are going to give all of your listeners here today as well the opportunity to try BX, and it's our shout. So what we're going to do is we'll share a link in the show notes today that'll give you access to be able to jump on and experience BX. And that's a full experience. You'll get, if you book into a brekkie, your lunch or dinner, you'll get fed, you'll get drink, you'll get the opportunity to meet other people, and you'll get the framework for how to leverage that. And the great thing about BX for newbies is that it's structured. So you know that there's a set, agenda for the event, but it's relaxed as well. So it's not intimidating, but there's no awkward standing around or anything like that. You'll get introduced to some people when you arrive. You'll get to experience the meeting as it flows through. So there's no kind of awkward moments. And we give you all the tools and resources to have a successful first meeting. But like I said, it's fun, it's friendly, it's relaxed, and you'll enjoy that. Plus, there's always a good meal, great coffee or whatever for breakfast, and a great experience. But we're going to shout you your first BX experience as well. So we'll make sure they get into the show notes.
Fantastic. We'll definitely include that in the show notes, guys. Make sure you go along. I highly attest that you do. It's a phenomenal experience. It's testament to you and the team, Matt, for everything that you've created. You've by far created what I believe is the best networking experience in Australia. I can't say global because I haven't been there, but I'm going to assume that it's the best globally as well. So a little modest nod. But Matt, I really appreciate you taking the time, mate. This has been super valuable. People can't sleep on this. It's sometimes the simplest stuff that works the best. This is tried and true foundational stuff that every business owner should be doing in some capacity. And I really feel that there's a tremendous opportunity here in 2023. So hopefully we've inspired some people to go out there and give it a crack, mate. So I appreciate you making the time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Jackson. And I must say, if there's any BX members listening to this here today as well, remember that there's some great content education provided by Jackson on our member exchange for you. So make sure you tap into that. Some fantastic things on there as well. But thank you so much for having me. I'm going to get back to my holiday now, but you have a great day. And thanks very much again, Jackson.
We'll catch you soon. Enjoy the day, guys. Thanks for joining in for another episode of the Financial Freedom Secret Show, and we'll catch you next time.